Ethereum ETFs? Approve, deny, delay? What's going to happen?
They're not going to approve it. There's too little traffic between the ETF sponsors and the SEC to illustrate that they're really crossing the T's, dotting the I's. So I think that they're going to be another delay, which is frankly not really bad news, but I think anybody who's expecting this to happen in the next week or two is going to be disappointed.
Of course, Bitwise has its own application in for a spot Ethereum ETF, and I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the general situation. I think, as Rick mentioned, usually what you see when ETFs are filed is a lot of back and forth as you approach the approval or disapproval date. Updates on prospectuses, changing and wording, and we haven't seen much of that. So you continue to see issuers interested in this space. That's why there's this ongoing level of discussion. But I think you see the consensus in the media from leading analysts, from Rick himself, that it's unlikely. We'll have to see what happens next week.
The burn fees, right? And so that's what caused, like, all the part of the transaction fees to be burned for Ethereum. So that's important in the sense that those fees, that amount of Ethereum just it gets erased from existence, right? So that has the effect of lowering the total supply of Ethereum if they are big enough, right? So, and that had been happening, since the merge. That had been happening. But with this latest upgrade, that is not the case anymore, right? So Ethereum became inflationary again. And so some of the, I would say, like, the more relevant thing that we talked about in this report is that this decrease in transaction fees and the transactions that get burned is a structural shift. It's not just because, there's less activity and then there's less transaction fees, right? No, it's not that. The activity has remained really high on Ethereum. But because after this upgrade, now that activity doesn't impact fees like it did before, right? And so we have lower fees, and then net issuance is now positive because of that, because less fees are getting burned.
Patrick McHenry says the bill aimed at creating a regulatory regime for U.S. crypto markets will finally get a vote from the House of Representatives later this month. In a statement posted to X on Friday, McHenry, who is the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, said the House will consider the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, which will deliver, quote, robust consumer protections and regulatory clarity for digital asset markets. The bill was cleared last summer in both his committee and the House Agriculture Committee. McHenry called the legislation much needed, adding that he looks forward to taking a, quote, monumental step to finally deliver the transparency, accountability, and consumer protections that the digital asset ecosystem desperately needs.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we have the spot Ethereum ETF will be pushed by mainstream media. All the Bitcoin events are out the way. Now Ethereum is going to be the topic, whether it's the SEC or the spot Ethereum ETFs. But will they get approved? Guys, we know there's going to be drama around it before it gets approved. And we know they like to price things in before they approve it. And then we have the Ethereum supply moving on up. And remember, they said this would not happen when they went from proof of work to proof of stake. And now we have less fees due to the last upgrade and, of course, less burning. So that means supply is moving on up. And I told you guys regulation was coming this year. And while the sheep sleep, the NWO builds. And remember, digital assets are illegal when it comes to the Constitution. But the only thing you have to do is break out that pen, and you can make anything legal. And we have the CFTC on the casino. Wants to stop people from betting on the election. And we see them betting on everything. Babylon, guys. And he states he wants to protect the integrity of the election. Remember, guys, your president is selected, not elected. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Gamestop Mania back. And AMC catches a little charge. And we have the meme coins also. Now they're just going to pump and dump. It's just whether you're able to catch the wave. And we have Melinda Gates actually gets to ride off in the sun. I think they divorced in 2021 and now she gets to part ways from this foundation. That's because the fourth industrial revolution is on its way. And we have one more crisis around the corner in order to bring in the machines. And we see solar activity picking up and it should last until next year. But that's all the NWO needs. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
In the listing of these event contracts, and specifically ones around elections, the bottom line is, with election integrity on the line, with questions about election integrity and the way news travels these days, I don't think we have any room for error when it comes to listing election contracts on financial markets. We don't want to commoditize elections. This puts the CFTC in a very uncomfortable position of being an election cop, thing I've said many, many times for over many years at this point. I don't think that's what Congress intended, and we're just moving forward with a rule at this point that is pretty consistent with our position over the past decade, if not more, about how we view election event contracts, both gaming and, more importantly, not in the public interest.
Roaring Kitty, remember that name of Wall Street Bets fame? He's returned, and shares of GameStop are up as a result. Stock's been halted 7 times since trading got underway. That's just in 45 minutes, so I don't even know if it's halted again. Let's get over to Kate Rooney. Just tell us what you're hearing and what's going on here, Kate.
Hey, David. Yeah, so this is Keith Gill's first online post we've seen in 3 years. Roaring Kitty, as he's also known, was, if you remember, really the Pied Piper of the meme stock frenzy in 2021. He led those online traders to the infamous GameStop short squeeze this morning, posting kind of cryptic photo of somebody just leaning forward, excuse me, in a chair. And that was enough to send GameStop up, as you said, more than 100%. It has been halted for volatility. Our Robert Hum just sent out a note explaining this. He said trading activity for GME has been only 10 minutes. The rest of the day has been halted, and even with just 10 minutes of trading, the stock did 3.5 times the normal.
Gates is resigning as co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Her last day scheduled for June 7th. In a statement, she says it is time for her to move on to the next chapter of her philanthropy. She points to the fight for women and girls in the U.S. and around the world and says, under the terms of my agreement with Bill, in leaving the foundation, I will have an additional $12.5 billion to commit to my work on behalf of women and families, and says she'll share more about what that entails in the future. Of course, she had co-founded the world's largest charitable foundation with her then husband, Microsoft founder Bill Gates. The couple had pledged publicly to give away at least half their wealth. They announced their divorce in 2021, but they have continued to work together on the foundation. Bill Gates today also released a statement thanking Melinda for her critical contributions to the foundation and wrote, I'm sorry to see Melinda leave, but I'm sure she will have a huge impact in her future philanthropic work. He goes on to say that he's confident in the current leadership team of the Gates Foundation and its mission. But again, the news, Melinda Gates will be stepping away from the massive foundation that she co-founded with Bill Gates.
A geomagnetic storm was triggered by solar flares and eruptions from the sun. It resulted in a supercharged display of the northern lights in locations that don't usually see them. You probably saw pictures of this if you didn't see it yourself in the sky. The sky lit up pink, green, and purple hues in areas as far south as Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, so the northern lights stretching pretty far south. On Saturday, Elon Musk's SpaceX warned of degraded service for its Starlink satellite internet service. Musk said in an earlier post that the Starlink satellites were under pressure from that geomagnetic storm, but were holding up so far. But again, if you didn't see this yourself in the sky, I bet you saw some pretty cool pictures in places you would never expect to see this over the weekend.
I think
it was cloudy here.
It was cloudy here.
Yeah,
I think you have to actually see it. Were you in Iceland?
I have been in Iceland, but I have not seen the Northern Lights. That's still on my bucket list. I had a friend who actually happened to be flying and took a picture from the airplane.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Long COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.